We have no capacity to do that. What you've described is a life cycle, a comprehensive service offering. We'd love to do those kinds of things. We just can't. Based on current, that's the key word, capacity. You can't get $1 worth of service from a dime. You might get $1 worth of service from 90 cents, but you cannot get it from a dime.
Good afternoon. I found your response to the gentleman's question here interesting in that you phrased the vouchers taking money from public schools. You called that competition. So my question to you is, if another organization came on the scene, let's say it was for profit, so it was not responsible for telling how the money was being spent, and it took half your dollars to make it work, it was able to pick and choose its clients, which means it did not have to serve everybody. Would you call that competition?
Yes, and that's exactly the kind of thing that we have experienced over 90 years. And it is incumbent upon our organization to continue to evolve the value proposition. And that's what we're faced with right now. We can't change the competitive landscape in this community. Wouldn't want to, but we certainly will respond to it. Yes, that is competition.
Johnathan, hi. The goal of the Urban League is to help African Americans, you said, get employment. There's an African American gentleman you mentioned earlier who's running for office, a position that pays pretty well. Your organization is a not-for-profit, and I don't want you to risk your 501c3 status, but do you see a difference between the two political parties in how they approach the issue of workforce development and what resources from the federal level they're willing to get behind to support these kinds of organizations such as the Urban League?
I think the distinction may fall as much in those political leaders who know, selfishly speaking, the urban challenge. The urban condition did not occur overnight, and the decisions that were made were not just those of those people who live in urban centers. Development, sprawl, globalization. The urban centers have been left as a residue of all of those external decisions. How do we respond? I have found that those who have emerged or grew up, so to speak, either politically or as in life, in the urban environment, appreciate the investments that must be made to flip it, to turn it. Those who don't have less appreciation, government largesse and that sort of thing. It's an unfortunate dynamic because it's too big to fail. We've all heard that in the last couple of months. Bear Stearns is too big to fail. The subprime is too big to fail. Having 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of our citizens leading utterly unproductive lives, or less than optimal, let me check that, less than optimal, is too big to fail. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Thank you for your comments. Just a quick question. Do you have any planned community outreach or grassroots efforts planned? And secondly, what can all of us in this room and those who are listening or who are viewing, what can we do for the Urban League now?
Now, Jim said that this was my platform. Now, I don't know if I want to make a plea during my platform, but we do need the support of this community. But we have to present the value proposition. We are in the early stages of defining what that value proposition will be for the 21st century. So really, the ball is in our court to present to this community something they can believe in and invest in. We're not there yet, but we're coming. We are coming. And the volunteer outreach capacity, I believe, is indispensable to exponentially increasing mission impact. That is part of our planning, part of what we are thinking about going forward. But we're not ripe yet. But we're coming. When we come, listen to what we have to say and judge it. Listen to what we have to say and judge it. We need your investment, but in return, we must deliver greater mission impact. That's my charge, that's our charge, and I think we'll be prepared to do that.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we've been listening to Johnathan Holifield, President and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. Thank you, Johnathan. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are now adjourned.